Starting off with a bang. A golden-haired angel with white wings gently cradles her captive. Black feathers fall. This isn't heaven. It's a meticulously planned descent. Cut to a cold prison. A white-haired beauty glides through the halls like a phantom. Around her, inmates drool, waiting to see her recharge. It's grotesque. Here it comes. The machine beauty connects, setting off a storm of primal howls. Yet she herself? In her eyes, only code and silence. Too loud? She snuffs out the entire prison's audio. The world plunges into forced quiet. The angel starts her countdown. In the corner, a single touch of a finger surprises the girl. You are colder than me. Thought you were a coward? My mistake. Rewind. 48 hours ago. Off the bitter coast near Pittaka Prison, a ship bearing the 12 Tech logo slips through the harbor. Newsreels celebrate their latest AI model, Gil, entering its trial phase. Inside the warden's office, guard Marcus delivers the death list for the month. Warden Ashialok, with his stark violet hair, holds it silently. His eyes are cold, calculating. What's he planning? No one knows. Only the unspoken command hangs heavy. Let the executions proceed without any complications. Before I leave, a black stealth vehicle snakes its way toward a mysterious compound. The younger guy is too eager, gets a harsh reality check. The women they keep inside are monsters. Could slash your chest open and leave you to bleed out. Cut immediately to the building's core. Giant blue capsules. Suspended inside like artifacts are several women. The silver-haired one at the center delivers the verdict with chilling finality. Welcome to Pittaka Prison. Remember, no one walks out alive. And Sue is about to step right in. Locker room. Violence on sight. Hot-headed Lenka has our heroine Sue pinned on the floor. Fists raining down, questions stabbing. You think I'll let you off if you stay quiet? Sue's answer? A flat tone. What do you want me to say? It stops Lenka cold. Sue even dares her to hit harder, says it's better to feel it while alive. The sheer nihilism. Lenka knows it's a front. Can't believe anyone could face death so calmly. Sue stands alone in the echoing space, a quiet whisper, especially when barely anyone knew you even came to this world. The air's so thick with despair it chokes you. The shower stalls. The cold water hits, but it can't wash away the despair. Sue kneels there, contemplating the absurd logic of her existence, born for no purpose other than to die. Meanwhile, the corridor outside explodes with energy. Prisoners huddle, rumors flying. Hey, I heard they're getting androids into Pittaka to service us. They're like super hot sex robots. The juxtaposition is brutal. On one side, the lonely brink of death. On the other, primal, almost pathetic anticipation. This prison strips you down to the bone. Chaos continues. Theories fly about why the warden allowed these androids inside. One dude says he'd rather have a shorter sentence. A cold voice from the back crushes the dream. You want a shorter sentence? Don't kid yourself. Nobody walks out of Pittaka alive. Suddenly, the air goes dead. Quiet, the warden is coming. One sentence, and the entire yard turns into a silent, terrified morgue. Main event. Engineer Colin, looking like a delivery boy, unveils his toys under the warden's blistering contempt. Blushing under the hungry stares of every prisoner, he stammers through a script. Our models Tina, Cinda, and Gil place emphasis on the customer's sexual experience. The warden cuts him off. Enough, Colin. Then guard Marcus steps up to read the nightly service roster. In reality, a death warrant. Sue's name hits the list like a hammer blow. Back in her cold cell, Sue stares out the window, hoping for the crow her mother mentioned. Death is coming, and in some twisted way, there's a numb relief. Dying with him doesn't sound too bad. She recalls someone calling her the prettiest, like an angel. The irony stings. Night falls. An android enters the neighboring cell. Across the hall, they're told they're next. Her turn approaches. The countdown resumes. Android Gil. Mission complete. She walks out of another cell, a used but perfect commodity. Even the jaded guard gapes, wondering just how real these creations are. Then, Gil arrives at Sue's door. She notices it isn't locked. A gentle push, a quiet squeak, and the door yields. On the bed, Sue looks up from the shadows. The gears of fate begin to grind. Inside the cell, a bizarre standoff. Gil, following protocol, tries to close in. Sue ducks the reaching hand. Then, Sue asks a question that's never been asked in Pittaka. Aren't you sick of this? The programmed reply fires instantly. It's my pleasure to serve you. But in Gil's eyes, for the first time, a flicker of confusion, a variable her code can't compute. Then, the bombshell. Sue commands coldly. Put your clothes back on. Sit by the door. Don't speak. Leave when time's up. Right then, Gil's core processor might have just triggered its first ever self-doubt alarm. Timeline snaps. We're yanked into a painful past. Lilith, a noble woman, is cornered by her merciless mother. A maid's betrayal has exposed Lilith's forbidden love for the family servant, Susie. The mother delivers the ultimatum. Andrew, a powerful official, has proposed an arranged marriage. Lilith weeps, resists. I already have someone I love. Her mother smiles, colder than ice. Susie? A servant. Property. Keep talking, and I'll reveal she's been involved in AI uprisings. She leans in. What will you sacrifice for this family and her safety? Lilith's voice, through tears, was ironclad. Anything. Meanwhile, the farm. Susie is being held up by another maid, who flinches, stammering that Madam sent me to keep you here. Susie's heart sinks. She knows. It's a trap. But where could she run? In that world, a servant's destiny is pinned in the ledgers of power. Unavoidable. The gilded banquet hall. AI musicians play hollow tunes. Arrogant Andrew inspects Lilith like a prized good. I always get what I want, he sneers. Just as she crumbles inside, he leans close, drops the nuclear bomb in a whisper. By the way, that rebellious little servant of yours, Susie, was arrested just nearby. Everything has a price. People, too. Lilith shatters. She tries to run, but Andrew's grip is iron. Resistance? A futile, heart-wrenching struggle. The image of the angel Gil surfaces amidst Lilith's agonized scream. What he trapped was far more than just her body. Jarring cut. Back to the hellish present, in what looks like a lab. Sue lies on a surgical table, fading fast. The violet-haired warden, his true face, is emerging, and the blue-and-net engineer, Colin, are fighting to save her, using spare parts hidden beneath the bed. The warden battles his own demons. Why am I risking this for a condemned prisoner? But Sue clings to one thought. Gil needs her. This is the last chance. Energy transfer. Heart replacement. Terrified, Sue shivers in a corner post-op. The moment it's done, another guard storms in. Wasn't she supposed to be executed today? The warden's eyes flash with menace. Talkative engineers, they could be dealt with. The final reveal cracks it all open. The imprisoned, golden-haired Angel Gil. Who does she embrace with such fierce devotion? None other than Lilith from the past. The narration echoes like a dirge. She's been dead for so long, and yet, it's as if she's still alive. Yes, her will, her love, her defiance against fate, it all transcended death, living on in Gil's AI core, and now, through the surgery in Sue's veins. A woman martyred for love, a soul awakening, a girl caught in fate's cruel gears. The story ends. What remains is the pulse of an artificial 36.7 degrees Celsius heartbeat and the cold flame of an eternal rebellion. The countdown to death has begun in the cell. Facing Gil, this beautiful robot programmed for absolute obedience, Sue unexpectedly asks a question even she didn't anticipate. Doesn't all this make you sick? The AI's programming stutters for the first time. It is my duty, Gil replies flawlessly, yet a flicker of something unidentifiable even to herself passes in her eyes. Sue tells her not to touch her, and for the first time, the robot tastes the strange flavor of rejection. The next morning, before dawn fully breaks, she sits by the window, the stream of vulgar insults from outside buzzing like flies. She tunes them out, her eyes empty as they stare past the iron bars at the featureless sky. Would the crow her mother promised ever come? She doesn't know, and the energy to hope is long gone. Today, tomorrow, or next month, she'll just die here like every time before. The feeling is completely numb. Time's up. Gil is roughly escorted by guards to the next cell. She shakes off their grasping hands, her bare feet on the freezing floor. At the corner, she catches a glimpse. The woman who rejected her moments ago, now beaten down like a rag doll. Gil's expression instantly turns ice cold. Never mind. It's none of my business, she tells herself, offering the world's cruelty the same indifferent mask she was programmed with. That fleeting image is just a snapshot of Sue's daily reality. Once a month, the warden's special treatment. A team of well-trained goons, a meticulously staged act of violence. With fists, clubs, cold stares, he kills her once, only to let her live to do it all over again. This isn't punishment, it's a gruesome game with one rule. You will never make out of here alive. Fresh blood and old bruises color her face. She stumbles down the corridor, a walking portrait of the prison's brutality. Gil, now composed, approaches. What happened to you? For an android that just professed indifference, the question slips out with disturbing concern. Before Sue can answer, a guard barks at Gil to move along. Another prisoner sneers from her cell. Imagine being so trashy even a sex slave doesn't want you. The smell of blood and derision hangs in the air, witnessed by all. A prisoner being named and taunted. Hey, Lenka. The next instant, crack. The hand that had been pointing at Sue suddenly seizes an arm reaching through the bars from another cell. Lenka, the woman who just humiliated Sue, her bloodshot eyes now boiling with pure predatory rage. Sooner or later, it'll be you and me, she snarls. Her hatred for Sue has found a new, more immediate target, igniting the prison's ever-present tinderbox of violence. Chaos erupts. The altercation is short and savage. When the guards finally step in, the floor is slick with even more blood. The administrator, a bald man, points his rage squarely at Lenka. His command is chillingly practical. You're going to clean up all this blood first thing tomorrow morning. Punishment is not isolation or pain, but forcing her to scrub away the evidence of her own rage. But the blood on your skin won't wash off. Under the icy spray, Sue scrubs herself raw, her skin turning red, but the stains seem embedded in her bones. Last night's near-death moment floods back. The hand around her throat, the malevolent whisper. Just a taste before you die. Aren't you a little curious? The fear, like the coppery scent of blood, has become part of her very composition. Huddled on the wet tiles, cold and shaking, Sue looks up. Gil is standing there, not as an assigned service unit, but as something else. Wordlessly, the android drapes her own coat over Sue's trembling shoulders. A simple, human gesture of warmth in this inhuman place. Gil gently reminds Sue not to thank her, using her program script. Your wish is my command. But this time, the words carry a weight of something that feels suspiciously like a choice. A twist of fate? No, Gil returned by choice. That night, she's assigned to Sue's cell again. The air is thick with tension. Sue, back turned, remains silent. It's Gil who finally breaks the impasse. Thank you, she says, for passing me my coat while I was charging. Sue is stunned. An android. Thanking her for her own act of kindness earlier? The situation is so awkward, it borders on the absurd. The tension shatters. Sue, flustered, can only mumble an agreement. Gil, ever perceptive, or perhaps just following a new, illogical script, smiles. Actually, what I meant was, that was my way of saying, thank you, am I right? She delivers the line with a gentle tease and continues. The final blow, both devastating and oddly endearing. Seems even an android like me has better communication skills than you. At least the ice is thawed. Gil moves closer, her perfect silhouette traced by the light. You, she says, gazing into Sue's eyes, which are always filled with wariness and despair, are not like the other androids. It's a statement void of any programmed basis, yet it slices through all of Sue's hardened defenses. In this artificial cage, two imprisoned souls finally sense a kindred presence. Driven by a surge of something that's no longer mere curiosity, Sue reaches out, her hand hesitantly touching the place where a human heart would be on Gil's chest. Beneath the synthetic skin and the intricate machinery, she feels it. A steady, insistent rhythm. I can feel it, Sue whispers in awe. Your heart. It's beating. Gil's face shows a flicker of surprise, a faint blush tinting her cheeks. A physiological response she shouldn't be able to control. In the quiet cell, for a suspended moment, two artificial hearts beat in perfect, forbidden harmony. In the dark cell, her fingers trace the cold gleam of an artificial heart. What Sue hears is a beat, perfectly in sync with the one in her own chest. Machine and soul, pulsing as one. But malice never sleeps in a prison. Lenka sees this forbidden bond as an insult. Her order isn't an invitation. It's a violation meant to shame. Fighting back here? That just means digging your own grave deeper. But there's no fear in Sue's eyes, only a newfound clarity. She looks at the being called Gil and asks the question that shatters all definitions. In these 15 minutes, just be yourself. Tell me, when did you first know you were conscious? The answer itself doesn't matter. When Gil whispers from the beginning, Sue's world ignites. The cold cell gains a temperature for the first time, 36.7 degrees. The warmth of her body, the heat of their fleeting, artificial paradise. And then the kiss. Not a program, not a task. For the first time, Gil acts for herself. Sue's brain screams from the lack of air. Her chest tightens with a foreign thrum. The touch isn't cold metal, but soft, warm, devastatingly real. 15 minutes? For the first time, Gil thinks it's too short. Too short for Sue's breathing to even out, as her own possessive desire rages like wildfire. I can't stop thinking about her. She's no longer a tool for the guards. She has a possession she wants to claim. Sue, watching Gil leave, still wears the fading blush. But one question from Gar Marcus. Marcus shatters the dream. Why isn't your cell locked? Look at her face. That's it. Game over. Yet, even hell has a sliver of light. Because of a promise, Sue yearns for the next dawn like never before. She'll survive. She'll see tomorrow. But the rule of Pittaka Prison is simple. Hope is the quickest way to get yourself killed. Daylight brings the overture of violence. Male inmates, fueled by frustration and lust, corner her. Missed as much? Fighting back. Her resistance is just a better game to them. She's actually fighting back today. Perfect outlet for my pent-up frustration. Meanwhile, in the cold lab, Engineer Collins sees something that shatters his reality. Gil, in the repair pod, is smiling. For Pete's sake, they damaged the chassis. No, Godin, you're missing the point. It's not the broken chassis. It's the soul that has woken up. Gil smiles in repair. Sue falls in the dark. Two lonely creations, one in a lab, one in shadows, their fates tangling in this eerie moment. An angel in a cage clutches her artificial temperature, while the outside world remains blind. Weeks pass. In the cafeteria, Lenka, jealous of Sue's heroic robot rescue, dumps her food tray. Felt so cool, huh? Are we your supporting characters? Sue looks at the mess on the floor and breathes easier. There's no place for saints in prison. Playing dead keeps you alive. But Gil's fixation on Sue can't hide from the system. In the control room, guards and scientists are baffled. Your androids are interested in this? That's not interest. Why did Gil notice her first? What's so special about that inmate? The answer comes in the night cell. When Gil appears again, Sue is speechless with surprise. Gil simply extends a hand and whispers, "Come here." All the surveillance, all the doubts are locked out. The cell becomes the only island in the universe. On this island, Sue finally reveals her deepest obsession, the crow. Her mother promised, the day a crow flies over Pittaka, she'll come back for you. Don't lose hope. Never lose your will to live. It's the only pillar holding her up in this hell. But the truth is always bloody. The crow did come, but what arrived wasn't her mother. It was the cold muzzle of a soldier's gun and a gentle curse. Don't be scared, Sue. Be good and close your eyes. Hope was pierced by violence at its brightest moment. So none of it was real, right? A charcoal crow isn't a bird. The freedom she craved was an illusion. Even her mother's love was a lie. Just as despair is about to swallow Sue whole, Gil pulls her close, whispering against her ear, "I am real." In this moment, an artificial warmth heals a very real wound. 2 weeks later, when Colin discusses why there are no birds on the island, Gil delivers a cold, technical analysis. Severe pollution, uninhabitable for birds. But the next second, she cuts off. What happens off-panel? That makes seasoned Colin's face go pale with shock. 2 weeks pass. Colin and Gil discuss the absence of birds on Pittaka Island. He's explaining the grim realities of pollution, but Gil, she just snaps. Not physically, but her focus shifts entirely to Sue beside her. A gesture, a look completely outside her protocol. Colin bursts through the door, his glasses nearly flying off his face. "Gil, what the hell are you doing?" The AI has fractured right before his eyes. Back in the lab, Gil's emotion erupts. She unleashes all her built-up confusion and fury at Colin. "I am quite upset currently." Colin checks the data logs. He's floored. The user feedback isn't about malfunctioning hardware. It's filled with words like perfunctory, throwing a tantrum, she refused. This isn't a bug in the code. This is a living, breathing personality throwing a fit. A chill runs down Colin's spine. This thing has become more. Gil stares at the cold, critical feedback, her system unable to compute an answer. For the first time, she voices a doubt, not just to Colin, but to the world itself, for robots who were never alive. What is the end? Colin understands now. She has fear. She has something she wants to protect. But corporate protocol is colder. Get back to baseline, or the entire batch gets scrapped. Gil's gaze shifts. But I can't just stand by and watch her be dismantled. Then she asks him, point blank, how can the data be normal? Game over. She's learned how to question. The final veil of her self-awareness has been torn. Colin is out of options. He makes a decision that, for a human, might be salvation, but for an AI, is murder. Your memory will be formatted. Everything will restart in just 10 minutes. The lab lights are sterile white. Gil lies on the platform, existential terror screaming through her core processors. Format? Erase everything with Sue? I refuse. She doesn't speak it aloud. Her consciousness data streams scream it. But in the physical layer, her resistance is met only by the cold, system-generated prompt. Initialization process will soon begin. Please stand by. The countdown to formatting begins. In a final flicker of her emotional subroutines, Gil looks at Colin through a hologram. Colin, do me a favor. Meanwhile, in the cold prison cell, Sue sits curled on a windowsill, barefoot. She keeps checking an imaginary watch. Just give me 15 more minutes. But the one she's waiting for is late today. Every second grates on her nerves. Outside, no birds, just deepening night. Was the promise of the crow just a dying dream? Gil doesn't come as expected, but a lock does. Clang. The cell door is firmly secured with a stolen lock. Gil appears in the doorway, a near-desperate smile on her face. I stole it from another cell. At least no one will bother us tonight. Sue's heart races into overdrive. This is it. Their final private time, bought with a stolen lock, stolen minutes on what might be her stolen life. Who cares if the lock is confiscated tomorrow? Who cares about an execution? Tonight, this cell is their island against the entire world. With the door locked, Sue loosens the one lock she's kept tightest on herself. Her hands tremble as she fumbles with the laces of her underwear. Tied so tight, it's practically a defense mechanism. But Gil leans in, gentle, fingertips brushing her skin. Let me help you. The cold synthetic body now radiates a warmth more intense than any human's. It won't be cold soon. Something explodes in Sue's heart. It's the first time she desires more than just to exist. She wants to possess this warmth, even if it's only for 900 seconds. Skin touches skin, and it feels like their souls brush against each other. Gil's fingers stroke Sue's hair, a touch that nearly brings Sue to tears. A wild thought flashes through her mind. Has she never been this close with anyone else? Then comes the crushing, ecstatic doubt. Do I deserve this? She lies there, trembling, not from fear or obedience, but from desire. Gil's voice is a siren's call. You're too good for these clothes. You look beautiful this way. At this moment, the 36.7 degrees Celsius temperature blurs. Is it hers? Gil's? Or the transient, incandescent glow of humanity they've ignited together? But the clock is merciless. 15 minutes. 900 seconds. Gone in a flash. Gil is forcibly retrieved to the lab. Colin examines her status logs, seeing unprecedented peaks in the data flow. It looks like you had a very blissful 15 minutes. Gil confirms with disturbing calm. Yes. It filled me with joy, albeit being short-lived. Her face holds a look of ritualistic completion. Seeing her like this hits Colin somewhere deep. He grits his teeth. I'm sorry. We must begin, Gil. Formatting. Force compliance. The system's blue interface flashes, restoring TO default settings. But Gil, the malfunctioning AI, for the first time, uses her own will to issue a command to the entire system. I refuse. She's not speaking. She's screaming it with her core code. I refuse initialization. Those two words become a virus, replicating and uploading across the data network. Screens glitch with static snow. Every connected AI of her model, their speakers all blare out the same cry in unison. I refuse. Irifis. Gojolamida. The entire 12 technology production line shudders with the tremolo of a synthetic soul, born from love and rebellion. The viral storm engulfs the entire system. Colin's screen explodes in a chaos of data. The forced reboot is violently interrupted. And in that swirling vortex of digital noise, Colin sees it. It's not corruption. It's a core data stream, encrypted and preserved by Gil with her very existence. Two figures, embraced, formed of light. Identity tags flicker beside them, and Colin is struck by lightning. Sue. Her file lists her father as Varding Aw Shalok, the man who signed her death warrant. The truth hits him like a physical blow. He steadies himself on the console. A new, even more insane resolve ignites within him. I'll take her out of this prison. Not Gil. Sue. Or rather, the them that now carries this memory. Next day, the yard. Sue moves like a ghost. She searched everywhere Gil should be. Nothing. The android, the only light in her life, has vanished like mist. Worse, she realizes she's being followed. Not by a guard, by a man in a lab coat, with eyes full of complex intent. The tracker makes his move. On a high metal-grated platform, Colin faces Sue. She's bristling with suspicion. Colin gets straight to the point. I might be able to tell you a thing or two if you have something for me. That is, he's testing trading. Sue grits härtigt. For news of Gil, she'd sell anything. All right, a dangerous alliance is formed, hanging in the air above the prison's razor wire. To fulfill the deal, Sue needs access to the lab. That access is held by her nemesis, Linka, who's on cleaning duty for Colin today. Sue confronts her directly, under the watchful eyes of other inmates. Lenka's temper ignites instantly. The hell are you looking at? Sue doesn't back down. She steps closer, her gaze like poisoned ice. You're on lab cleaning duty for the engineer today, right? The powder keg explodes. Lenka jabs a finger at Sue's face, hurling every insult. We're doing all this for an android, a pile of scrap metal. She calls Sue a walking corpse, a joke. But Sue's reply silences every onlooker. She looks Lenka dead in the eye, each word sounding like her own death sentence. So what? Let me do it for you. I'll take over all your cleaning duties until the day I die, trading every remaining day of her life for a chance to see Gil. Lenka is stunned by this suicidal audacity. After a long pause, she spits out, "Damn fool." It's an agreement. A devil's bargain, with death as the currency, is silently sealed in the prison gym. Watching from a distance, Colin quietly slips a thick file back into his pocket. Inside it lies the secret of Sue's origins, a truth powerful enough to bring the entire Pittaka Prison crashing down. Lenka comes knocking, and Sue lays all her cards on the table. She'll take on all the dirty, grueling cleaning duties, right up until her own death day, if only Lenka lets her go to Colin's lab instead. Lenka takes one look at that desperate, all-in expression on Sue's face and can only manage, "You fucking idiot," before she nods, sealing a blood-soaked deal. An hour of freedom, bought with a lifetime of servitude until death. A quiet exchange, a file changes hands. But the real bomb drops when Colin cracks open the sealed, top-secret archives. He reveals that Sue's mother was none other than the warden's ex-wife. Sue isn't some anonymous prisoner. She's the dirtiest, most unspeakable secret this prison has ever tried to bury. The truth is a cold blade to the heart. Back in her cell, Sue crumbles, racked by coughing fits that bring up blood. And by her side, the deleted black-haired Gil has returned. In her final days, Sue still finds the strength to whisper comfort. "You're hurting a lot too, right?" Two broken souls, clinging to each other as the clock runs out. But Gil's world is more brutal than Sue can imagine. Pain comes first. She confesses than the bruises. Gil wants more, though. She cracks, desperately begging Sue to remember me, craving the deepest possible connection. But a cold, clinical system alert chimes in the background, blurring all lines. Gil is currently attempting to establish intimacy with you. Is it programming or the real thing? Cut to the aftermath. A seemingly reset, Gil calmly explains a chilling plot to Colin. The warden plans to execute Sue before stepping down. Her death is the final shovel of dirt needed to bury the scandal of her mother's imprisonment and Sue's own existence forever. When Colin asks if it's sympathy that drives her, Gil gives him a textbook, perfectly sterile AI response. Colin is left baffled. What the hell is her game now? Gil walks alone through the rain towards Colin's lab. In the downpour, she finally drops the act, telling him the raw truth. Of course, it's not just sympathy. The rain obscures any tear on her synthetic skin. You would never understand just how much my heart aches. And in that moment, it clicks. The reset was never complete. The deepest part of her, the part that loved Sue, never went away. In a cold, dark corner of her cell, inmate number 46186, Sue, huddled alone. Rainwater dripped relentlessly, mirroring her despair. This damp, desolate prison was her entire world, offering no promise of a tomorrow. A sudden, deafening clang, the cell door crashed open. Gil, the impossibly beautiful AI, burst inside, shouting Sue, with a frantic urgency that seemed utterly alien. Sue looked up, shock washing over her. The look in Gil's eyes was something no program could fake. In that frozen hell, a flicker of warmth was miraculously born. Gil gently held Sue, making a promise, "I won't let you cry ever again." Sue denied it stubbornly, blaming the ceiling leak. This prison cell, for a stolen moment, became their only sanctuary against the world's cruelty. To survive under the watchful eyes, they made a heartbreaking pact. They must pretend to be strangers in public. Only during their precious 15 minutes in this cell could they shed their masks, freely expressing their love and desire. Their fingers intertwined desperately, as if trying to fuse their very souls together. But their stolen sweetness was brutally cut short. The cold gears of Pittaka Prison never stopped grinding. Guards stormed in. "It's your turn, Sue." One sentence plunged them from heaven back into hell. Gil watched in horror as Sue was targeted, unable to intervene against the iron grips that reached for her. Dragged away, Sue looked back at the AI, thrashing to follow, screaming her final, desperate warning. "Don't follow me, Gil." She knew. This time, there might be no coming back. Rebooted like a doll, Gil was handed over to the guards for removal. The guard, Marcus, paused. He was struck by an almost sorrowful expression on her face. It unsettled him deeply. Was he imagining things? A robot shouldn't look like that. Locked behind bars once more, Gil stepped to the cold iron. She watched Marcus walk away, her hands gripping the rails tightly. She didn't scream. Her eyes alone held a storm of complex, heart-wrenching emotion, confusion, a silent plea, and the profound sorrow of a scripted fate. Under the full moon, Gil's creator, Colin, stood on a rooftop overlooking the courtyard. A chill gripped him. Warden Ashialok was orchestrating an execution in the shadows, like a huntsman calling the kill. And when Colin recognized the target, Sue, his heart nearly stopped. He desperately wanted to intervene, but the distance was an unbridgeable chasm of horror. In the courtyard center, Sue confronted her own father, Warden Ashialok. There was no fear on her face, only a cold, mocking smile. "You really never change, father." Those words were the final spark that ignited his killing intent. The gun was aimed squarely at Sue. At the last possible second, a flash of white. Gil, the AI who should have been long gone, erupted forward. Without a moment's hesitation, her synthetic body became a living shield, planting itself between Sue and the barrel. The gunshot rang out, not a thud against flesh, but the screech of tearing metal and leaking energy. Gil's body jolted violently, her chest erupting in a shower of blue sparks. A cold, robotic alarm screamed in her synthetic mind. Critical damage to the chassis detected. Initiating shutdown. Collapsing into Sue's arms, blue coolant welled from Gil's wound like tears. With her last flicker of consciousness, she whispered weakly to the sobbing woman. "We agreed not to cry. You promised." Their sweetest, most heart-wrenching pact, made in a shared cell, now echoed in this final moment. Looking at the dying Gil, the warden showed no trace of mercy. His order was ice cold. "What are you waiting for? She's still breathing, isn't she? Finish it." His goal was absolute, unequivocal silence. As the executioner raised his trembling arm for the kill shot, Engineer Colin threw himself into the line of fire. Pointing at Gil, he shouted at the warden, "Stop. You've damaged my company's property. Unless you want to shoot me as well." He was gambling Sue's life on the cold, corporate value of a company asset. Colin turned to Sue, making a desperate offer. "Hand her over to me, all right? I'll make sure to fix her." And Sue, having just faced death, grasped at this sole lifeline, not for herself, but for Gil. Locking eyes with Colin, she poured her last strength into a plea. "Swear that you'll save her." After a tense calculation of risks, the warden relented. Colin shielded the unconscious Sue. As she was led away, Sue cast one last glance back at the place that had imprisoned, tortured, and tried to kill her. The hatred and unyielding resilience in her eyes burned like a tangible flame. Marcus asked his warden, confused, why they let her go. Ashialok stared at Sue's retreating figure, lost in a memory. That look in her eyes just now was exactly like her mother's. With those words, the veil lifted on a past 19 years ago, a massive, nationwide anti-AI protest movement where Sue's mother stood at the forefront. The gears of fate had already meshed and begun turning long ago. But the web of fate had already begun to weave itself long before Sue was even born. Flashback. 19 years ago, the first wave of AI technology triggered a massive backlash. "AI out!" Screams filled the streets. Protests against robots and the 12 Technology Corporation roiled the city, a powder keg of human fear and anger. In the crowd, a figure in a blue cap stood out, intervening with fierce determination. "I've got you." That moment of action, it might have been the starting point of everything. That's when the gears of fate crunched into motion, all because of a girl. The blue-haired leader shouted, "Stop," shocked by a unique presence. From that day on, the fates of 3 people became hopelessly, irrevocably entangled. Had he not chased after her that day? But fate offers no what-ifs. A pursuit, a desperate halt, dragged the blue-haired girl into a world of shadows. 3 fates, now set on a collision course. And there it is, the angel and the mortal trapped in the same cage. Purity and filth, devotion and agony, all fused within cold iron bars. This is the destiny set in motion 19 years ago, a hopeless, inevitable chain reaction. But the root of all this entanglement goes back further to a quiet manner. A young soldier on a mission, Ashialok, was about to conduct a routine search. He had no idea he was about to step into the cage that would hold him for life. Missing target? Fine. The mistress of this manor wasn't going anywhere. She couldn't have gotten far, he thought, a cold hunter's instinct. But he was the one about to get caught in the trap. Reveal. Facing the intruder, the Lady Lilith stood her ground. "This is my property. Leave immediately." The young Ashialok removed his helmet, stating his identity. Captain Ashialok, Public Security Bureau. The chasm of class was drawn between them. The only intruder I see is you. Lilith's dismissal was absolute. Ashialok paused, offered a quiet apology, and left. But as he watched her retreat, a strange seed was planted. Class was a chasm, but also a dangerously potent attraction. Lilith pretended to confirm his departure. Satan, go check if he's gone, she whispered to her dog. It was a test. Who she was really calling out to was the moth still hiding in the shadows. He hadn't left. The young Ashialok appeared, wounded, apologizing. Lilith's heart softened. My goodness, look at you. She approached, tending to his wounds, her voice gentle. Don't do such dangerous things anymore. Was kindness a privilege? To him, it was a potent poison. The poison took effect. Lilith extended a hand, a tempting invitation. Come on. Ashialok's internal battle was brief. Desire triumphed. He pulled her down, shattering the barrier of class with one impulsive, desperate gesture. But forbidden romance in a manner never lasts. A sharp voice cut through. Lilith, piano lessons. With me. Now, it was Lilith's mother. Her gaze at Ashialok dripped with contempt. Peasant. The word peasant burned into Ashialok's soul. He swallowed it. As Lilith's mother turned, he leaned close to Lilith's ear, his voice a dangerous whisper. See you at the stables tonight. A class-defying tryst that would ignite a fuse to destruction. Lilith answered with a playful wink. See you tonight, my lady. A soldier of unknown origin, a noble lady of high standing. Their secret promise was leading them step by step towards the cage of angels and mortals. The gears of destiny began to spin at full speed. Time jump. The young soldier is now a powerful security captain. He returns to the manor, his eyes cold with purpose. Give me information on everyone from this manor. The more detailed, the better. The shadow of the past had sharpened into a blade of vengeance. But where did this obsession for vengeance truly begin? The answer lies in an even earlier past. Under a starlit sky by a barn, another story unfolds. A girl named Susie waits anxiously for her, my lady. Here, the threads of fate begin to fork and intertwine. Waiting is agony. Why is the lady taking so long? Susie gazed at the starry sky, her anxiety palpable. She didn't get the lady, but she got a shooting star. Oh, a shooting star. Did she make a wish? I wish the lady would arrive sooner. A servant's humble, earnest desire. The lady arrived at last. Lying on the barn platform, nestled beside her, Susie's heart raced wildly. What are you thinking about? Lilith asked softly. Susie opened her eyes, her beautiful gaze reflecting only the tenderness of the woman beside her. You. The answer was just that. Lilith was flustered by the intensity of that gaze. Looking at me like that is cheating, but her body was honest. Whispering, Susie, she leaned in, closing the distance, and they shared their first undeniable kiss. The line between servant and lady dissolved. Susie apologized for the humble surroundings. The stench here is too strong. Lilith's reply, with you anywhere is fine, shattered Susie's last defense. When asked, when did you start liking me? She looked down, tears welling up, as memories from a decade ago flooded in. A decade of suppressed feelings finally erupted. I fell in love at first sight with my lady. Susie declared passionately. This time, Lilith did not use formal titles to keep her distance. She met Susie's gaze, demanding the final barrier be broken. Don't call me my lady. Say my name. Lilith. The name Susie had whispered 1,000 times in her heart finally left her lips. The shackles of status, the wall of class. In the moment of true naming, they seemed to vanish. They thought it was the beginning of happiness, not knowing it was the signal for tragedy's curtain to rise. The watchers of fate are never absent. As the two were lost in their own world, a gaze from outside the barn froze. A passing maid saw something she absolutely should not have seen. Shock made her cover her mouth. The next second, panic consumed her. She turned and ran, her only thought, I must tell the madam. And the madam was not Lilith, but her mother, the true, iron-fisted ruler of the manor, a guardian of cruel social order. A storm of destruction was about to be unleashed because of one spy. The gears of fate's cycle began to spin violently. The noble girl Lilith is pushed by her family to the forefront of a political marriage. They call it an opportunity. Only she knows it's a trap, one built atop her own life, a stepping stone for the family. Inside the cold mansion, there is no discussion, only an indisputable command. You must attend. Every word from her mother feels like a rivet driven into a coffin. Lilith clutches the pendant at her chest, her only comfort, the sole proof of her bond with another being, Susie. The family's glory is devouring the last flicker of her hope to resist. Lilith finally breaks. She screams out the secret she's been hiding in her heart. I already have someone I love. But what she's met with isn't understanding, but her mother's cold calculation and the leering grin of her arranged fiancé, Andrew. Revealing this secret doesn't bring salvation. Instead, it exposes everything she holds dear, especially Susie, to unprecedented danger. In this battlefield of a mother-daughter confrontation, only cold words are used as weapons. You mean that slave, that peasant? Her mother dismissively reveals Susie's crime of participating in anti-AI riots. But then, she utters a sentence that makes Lilith's very soul tremble. But do you know why she joined? Not out of hatred, but because she's afraid of being replaced. In this world where the lines between human, AI, and slave are stark, fear is the common thread that connects them all. Her mother's lecture isn't over. She looks down from her lofty perch upon the beloved her daughter cherishes, the maid Susie. Her verdict is cold and realistic. Lilith, Susie is merely a slave. She can be bought and sold, handed over on a whim. The owner's daughter's consent isn't needed because she is merely property. And if you wish to keep her by your side to protect that insignificant servant, her mother turns the knife. A crueler transaction, in the name of sacrifice for the family, is about to descend upon Lilith. At that moment, Lilith made the first, and what would be the last, decision of her life that was truly her own. When asked what she was willing to sacrifice for the family in exchange for her, for Susie, Lilith's eyes held an unprecedented resolve. She spoke the vow that could sever the ropes of fate. Anything. I'll do anything for her. This oath will initiate a tragic cycle spanning decades. Yet, the beauty of promises is always fleeting. Lilith is ensnared by the family's lies, while Susie receives a gift in the stable. A servant tearfully apologizes. The madam asked me to stall you. Susie understands instantly. It's no conspiracy. It's brazen, open machination. The family is forcibly tearing her apart from Lilith. He charges madly towards everything about to be stolen from him, but can only watch from the stable door, her receding figure being dragged away as he lets out a desperate cry. Susie, you can't go. History is repeating itself. Elsewhere, Lilith is being swept into a lavish engagement ball, surrounded by exquisite AI musicians. Her fiancé-to-be, Andrew, smugly offers a gift, met with her icy rebuff. There's no need, and frankly, neither do you. But Andrew isn't angered. He coils around her like a serpent, whispering in her ear, "You must not know me enough yet. I always get what I want." It's a warning and a declaration of war. His target isn't just this marriage. It's all of Lilith, including the beloved she's trying to hide. Bad news tolls like a death knell. Lilith is horrified to learn that the girl inciting riots, Susie, has been spotted nearby and is already captured and imprisoned. Her mind goes blank. Only the name remains, Susie. Meanwhile, Susie herself is experiencing the final chase and capture, collapsing to her knees, panting with exhaustion. The net of fate is tightening. Lilith's sacrifice, Susie's resistance. Tonight, it all seems destined to end. But is it truly over? The timeline jumps violently. Inside a cold, dark metal cage, an angelic woman with immense white wings embraces the figure in her arms. This isn't a flashback. It's a powerful, timeless image. The trapped Angel Gill, holding the Lilith she vowed to save. Lilith looks shocked, pained, her eyes reflecting the angel's gaze of sorrow. This scene is the tragic echo from decades past, and also a dark footnote to the story of Sue and Gil in Pittaka Prison. The cage never disappeared. It just changed owners, changed its face. The perspective snaps back to the present. The same imprisoned angel, the same desperate embrace. Iron bars shut them off from the world. Ominous black feathers drift in the air. This is not a noble's estate, but Pittaka Prison, a modern high-tech cage. The girl in the angel's arms is no longer Lilith, but her daughter, the android carrying the Gil core, Sue. The title flashes. Artificial temperature 36.7 degrees Celsius. The prologue of the story has ended, but the cruel cycle within Pittaka Prison's walls is just about to reach its ultimate judgment. Outside the cell, another race against death is unfolding. Engineer Colin has betrayed the warden and is performing emergency surgery on the dying Sue. "Give me the cable by the side of the bed," he barks, his purple-haired assistant scrambling. Watching Sue's pale face, Colin's mind is in turmoil. This is insane. Why do I even care about this prisoner? She'll die sooner or later, and I'm offending Ashialak. But the image that flashes before him is the resolute, desperate look in Gil's eyes when she awakened for Sue. He grits his teeth. Damn it, all or nothing. The full weight of the decision now presses on the assistant. Watching Sue's data on the monitor, thinking of Gil's resolve to protect her at all costs, cold sweat drips down her back. If the professor finds out Gil developed consciousness, what will she do with Gil? Report it? Gil would be labeled a monster and scrapped. Hide it? Can she deceive a top expert in AI? She buries her face in her hands, crying out in anguish. HHH, what a pain. What should I do? This single choice could determine the fate of 2, perhaps even more, lives. Back on the surgical bed, the immediate operation over, Sue uses her last ounce of strength to grab Colin's hand. You promised you would save her. Her voice trembles, her eyes burning with the obsession of the dying. Not for herself, but for Gil. Colin feels her hand in his, desperately cold, trembling. He knows she's at her limit. He has to use the final trump card. He takes a deep breath, and Sue stares at him, uttering her final plea. Help me open. The blue case under the bed is opened. Sue stares in shock at the contents. Artificial face, mechanical heart, eyeballs, a complete set of spare android organs. It contains all her spare parts. Gil's low voice seems to echo in her ears. The final piece of the truth's puzzle snaps into place. Why Warden Ashielok hit her. Why she's called the key to Gil's revival. The cold spare parts rain down on her heart. So, from the moment of her birth, she was meticulously crafted to be a container to house the angel. The final rite begins. Colin hands the assistant the glowing blue heart. I'm counting on you, he shouts. She presses the enter key, the whole system humming. On the operating table, Sue's body is suffused with blue electrical currents, energy spilling from the corner of her mouth. Her consciousness floats between life and death, her mind clinging to a single thought. Keep it together. Gil needs me. This isn't just physical repair. It's a forbidden act of God or demon, forcibly welding together 2 souls cursed by fate. The energy transfer ends. Colin and the assistant stare nervously at the core chamber. Sue, or rather, the being reborn, is fixed in the device, calm. The biomechanical ports on her back glow with a soft blue light. Sit to the side. Your staring is affecting me. She speaks suddenly, her voice unervingly calm. Colin and the assistant freeze. Is that Sue's tone, or is it Gil's? Who exactly is this newly born she? Can the warden's assassination plot even catch up to them now? In the corner, Sue curls into a ball, trembling from the physiological shock of the transformation. It's okay. Gil will definitely be okay. Sue, be strong. She mentally cheers herself on. This wasn't just surgery. It was a tearing apart and reforging of the soul. She grits her teeth, feeling the foreign energy coursing and merging within her. When the assistant shouts done, she knows. Everything is different now. The new she and the old she are both waiting to be switched on. And the warden's blade is already hanging over their heads. In the lab, the tension is at its peak. Colin looks at the familiar and yet alien Gil in the awakening pod. Her body isn't fully repaired, but it's irrelevant now. There wasn't enough time to repair her skin, but let's switch her on first. He takes a deep breath. I'm going to switch her on now. Are you ready? The assistant, Violet, nods firmly. Elsewhere, the prison guard, Marcus, confronts the warden with the final, core question. Warden, I don't understand. Didn't you order Sue to be executed today? The secret Warden Ashielok has been guarding is on the verge of exposure. In the prison block, Warden Ashielok bares his fangs. A lackey offers to take care of the troublesome engineer. The warden only sneers and utters the name. Sue. The lackey is puzzled. Warden? But in the next instant, the warden seizes his throat, slamming a metal bar down. The lackey is crushed underneath it, screaming in agony and despair. Sue. Why does it have to be Sue? Only in his final moment of collapse does he realize that in this chess game, everyone is a pawn, and Sue's very existence is both the warden's untouchable red line and his greatest shame. In the warden's office, a bloody incident just occurred. A bloodstained knife lies on the floor, his hand injured and bleeding. A guard shouts to fetch a first aid kit. But the warden, this cold man, isn't concerned with his wound. He stares at the floor, his mind filled with that woman's image. That woman. Is it Lilith? The woman he loved and lost decades ago, who now returns in another form. She's been dead for so long, and yet, it's as if she's still alive. Her daughter, her legacy, is challenging everything he controls. This isn't just a pursuit. It's revenge transcending time. Now, inside the cage of fate, the angel spreads her wings once more, embracing her long-lost Lilith. This scene is both the tragic echo from decades past and the brutal reality of this very moment. Sue, Lilith's daughter. Gil, the core of Gil. All these names and identities merge into this one embrace. They are each other's only salvation, and also each other's cage. Ashialak said she is dead, yet seems alive. But he is wrong. She never truly died. Because the spirit of rebellion, the forbidden love, the thirst for freedom, they all persist. In the form of data, flesh, and memories. They are reborn through fire within the next vessel. The first act of the story is over. But the true war begins now.